All right, fan, let's sit down and talk. Because what we just watched from the Dallas Cowboys wasn't just another loss. It was the kind of game that forces you to stop, breathe, and start asking the real questions about where this team actually stands heading into the Vikings matchup. And let's be honest, the little bit of playoff hope we've still got, it's hanging by a thread. If the Cowboys don't clean these issues up fast, it's over. Simple as that. You probably felt it the same way hundreds of fans did after that Lions game. Heavy, frustrating, almost embarrassing in moments. And what made it worse was that emotional dump afterward. Even Mr. Rome talked about taking a mental day just to cool off. And honestly, who didn't need one? That's the effect this team has had lately. But now that the dust has settled, there's no avoiding it. Real, serious questions need answers before Dallas walks into that Vikings matchup. Let's start by rewinding just a little bit. Before this three-game gauntlet even began, Chiefs, Eagles, Lions, every logical fan knew this was going to be the hardest stretch of the season. Doesn't matter what team you root for, when you face the defending Super Bowl champs, the runner-up, and one of the hottest NFC squads in basically a 13-day span, it's brutal. And here's the crazy part. If you take away the emotion from the Lions' loss, the Cowboys actually came out of that stretch 2-1. That is objectively a win for almost any team in the league. But you know how Cowboys Nation works. If the loss comes last, it wipes away the 2 wins before it. If we had lost to the Eagles first, and then beat the Chiefs and the Lions afterward, fans would be walking into this Vikings game talking about momentum. But football doesn't care about your timing. A loss at the end feels heavier than a loss in the beginning. It hits your confidence, it hits your belief, and it hits the locker room. And right now, that emotional dip is all over the fan base. But here's the reality check. Dallas didn't get blown out of that Lions game. Late in the fourth quarter, that score was cut to 3. It wasn't pretty, but the Cowboys were still in the fight much deeper than the final score made it look. You can call it a close loss, a collapse, a disappointment, whatever label you want. But the truth is that this team wasn't outclassed. They were out-executed. And that's fixable. So before we panic about the Vikings, before we bury the season, we gotta step back and see both sides. Yes, the issues are real. We're about to dive deep into them. But no, this team isn't dead yet. And the Vikings game is exactly the kind of moment where you find out whether you've got a pulse or not. Let me ask you this to start the chapter off right. Do you think the Cowboys can regain momentum before facing Minnesota? Yes or no? Drop your vote in the comments. And hey, if you're new here or you haven't hit that button yet, subscribe to the channel and help us hit our goal of 17,000 subscribers. It keeps the Daily Cowboys content flowing, and it helps more fans join the conversation. You've been hearing the same questions I have every time we break the tape. Why isn't Logan Wilson getting the majority of the snaps at Mike? Why is Kenneth Murray still being leaned on when his play has clearly dropped off? That right there is the clearest symptom of a defense that's lost a little bit of its identity. And honestly, it's the kind of thing that should have coaches answering for their choices. Think about it. You trade for Logan Wilson because you need a steadier hand in the middle, someone who can diagnose, rally, and make calls. But then you watch Murray play like he's comfortable again. Like the urgency that pushed him early when Wilson first arrived has evaporated. If Wilson wasn't needed, why make the move? If Murray is still your guy, why didn't you give him that opportunity to earn the job cleanly? That inconsistency seeps into every level of the defense, and opponents smell it. Then there's the pass rush, which hasn't been close to what we expected, especially with the interior pressure we thought would be a strength. Losing a disruptor up the middle changed the rotation, and the edge guys haven't consistently filled the void. Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, James Houston. I expect more. I expect those names to show up on film making the quarterback uncomfortable, not just folding into the background. The Lions' offensive line found ways to neutralize gaps at the right times, and when your tackle play can't sustain the rush, your plan falls apart. It's not just scheme, it's effort and situational awareness too. Getting home on third down, setting the edge on runs, converting pressure into turnovers. And the secondary? That's a whole other mess. Guys like Darren Bland have been inconsistent, and if Trayvon Diggs is the answer people keep calling for, I'm not saying he's a miracle worker either. But right now, you need veteran, presence, and proven playmaking, because the rookie mistakes are piling up. Replacing experience with potential is fine long-term, but in a stretch where every game matters, you can't afford a back end that's guessing on assignments or losing leverage in one-on-one battles. Safety play has been shaky as well. There's no sideline-to-sideline confidence, and no one in the room has consistently inspired trust on a game-to-game basis. All of this leads to too many mysterious rotation decisions and personnel choices that feel like they're being made to avoid accountability rather than to solve problems. Quick check for you. Who do you want seeing the majority snaps at Mike next game? Logan Wilson or Kenneth Murray? Drop your pick in the comments and tell me why. And if you agree, we need a clearer pass rush plan. Hit the like button so I know you want more of these hard truths. Don't forget to subscribe and help us get to 17,000 subscribers. We need every Cowboys fan in the room for conversations like this. When you're ready, reply C, and I'll break down the special teams and why that forgotten phase could be the difference between winning and losing right now. Listen, special teams don't make the highlight reels until they cost you a game. And right now, that unit is doing a lot more hurting than helping. I know everyone wants to yell about the offense or the defense because those are the sexy headlines. But special teams quietly flip field position, swing momentum, and in close games, they're the difference between winning and losing. After that Lions game, you probably noticed the penalties, the missed lanes on coverage, and the returns that never gained the separation we needed. Cavante Turpin had moments where he made a play, but you don't get paid to make occasional hustle tackles. You get paid to flip the field and create consistent return value. When the whole return package is inconsistent, you lose hidden yardage and, worse, you give the opponent easier scoring drives. It's not just Turpin. Coaching and scheme are showing up as problems too. Too many penalties, too many breakdowns in lane responsibility, and a lack of tackling fundamentals on kickoff and punt coverage. That points back to preparation and play calling from the special teams coach. You can have an elite returner, but if the blocking and alignment aren't coached well, and the coverage units aren't drilled to tackle properly, nothing improves. And when games are tight, which they've become for Dallas more and more, those little mistakes compound into big issues. A missed tackle, a penalty that nullifies a big return, or a blown lane on a punt can swing win probability by more than people think. Also, consider how much roster decisions are wrapped up in special teams production. Guys on the fringe prove their value there. If the unit is failing, you're not just losing yards on returns, you're also failing to give coaches confidence in depth pieces that could be relied upon later in the season. That's a roster management problem as much as it's a performance problem. So the question is, do we trust the special teams coordinator to fix this now, or is it time for a change? I want to know what you think. Yes or no? Do you trust this special teams unit to hold up against a physical team like the Vikings? vote in the comments and explain why. Before we move on, hit the like button if you agree that special teams are being overlooked and need urgent attention, and please subscribe. We're pushing for 17,000 subscribers so we can keep breaking down these exact issues with real accountability. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdowns where we'll dig into the offense and those slow starts that keep showing up. Next up, I'll dig into the offensive identity crisis, the early game scripts, and why the line's early struggles are forcing Dak to play catch-up. If you want that deep dive, reply C, and I'll send Chapter 4. All right, let's dig into the offense and keep this flowing naturally from what we just covered about special teams. The biggest recurring problem on offense has been the slow starts, and those first 10-15 plays keep costing the Cowboys games before the team even finds its footing. I'm talking predictable scripts, soft execution, and a failure to establish a tone early that forces opponents to respect both the run and the pass. When you can't punch the first set of drives into positive yardage, you hand the other team confidence, you put Dak Prescott in catch-up mode, and you make the second-half adjustments feel like triage instead of strategy. Now, look at the offensive line. The tackles in particular had a rough go the other day. Terrence Steele and Nathan Thomas looked overmatched at times, and when protection breaks down from the edge, it creates a domino effect. Dak feels pressure, the run game loses lanes, and the playbook gets compressed into safe throws instead of scoring opportunities. I don't want to hear it's just one player's fault. The line is a unit, and when communication and technique slip, the whole offense suffers. Javonte Williams has shown he can fight for yards, but when the line gets whooped early, even the best backs get limited to hard-fought, short gains instead of game-shifting runs. That brings me to play calling. The opening scripts need an overhaul. Other teams have those 10-15 plays that are near-automatic scoring drives. Dallas seems to wait to see what the defense gives them before truly attacking. You want to be the team setting the agenda, not the team reacting. That means smarter early down usage, quicker adjustments to opponent fronts, and a plan that neutralizes defensive stunts instead of getting baited into predictable counters. Also, situational football matters. We need better tempo control on early downs, cleaner third down play design, and fewer conservative choices when the offense actually has momentum. Let me be blunt. Dak can only do so much when the script hands him third and long repeatedly. He's a willing leader, but he also needs the line and the play calling to put him in manageable situations. Quick question for you. What's the one change you'd make to the first drive script? More run, quicker pass game, or a trick play to jolt momentum? Drop that in the comments and explain your pick. If you think the O-line is the root cause, type O-line and tell me which starter you'd change. And if you want more breakdowns like this where we name the problems and outline fixes, hit the like button and subscribe. Help us push to 17,000 subscribers so we can keep doing these honest, detailed breakdowns. When you're ready, reply C, and I'll move into the final chapter, tying everything together. Where the season really stands and what must happen against the Vikings. We're staring at a clear crossroads now. The playoffs aren't impossible, but the margin for error is paper thin. And the Vikings game is exactly the kind of measuring stick moment that separates teams that talk from teams that fix. Bottom line, this season's fate isn't decided by media takes or locker room decor. It's decided on the field. You've seen the problems: inconsistent linebacker rotations, a pass rush that hasn't delivered on demand, a secondary that looks shaky at times, special teams mistakes bleeding hidden yards, and an offense that keeps starting slow. Those things add up to lost leverage in tight games. And in the NFC, every slip costs you a ranking or two in that wild card scramble. So what has to happen? First, accountability. Coaches have to stop making lineup decisions that confuse more than they solve. Play your best, and if someone's not producing, rotate until the answer shows itself. If Logan Wilson is the answer at Mike, let him earn the bulk of snaps and let the defense settle into a clear identity. If Kenneth Murray is starting, make that an earned, logical choice with a plan that protects his weaknesses. Second, the pass rush rotation needs a reset with role clarity. Interior pressure is a true weapon. Don't abandon it. Get the right combinations on the field early, set the edge on rundowns, and hunt third and long situations like your season depends on it, because it does. Third, special teams must be cleaned up now. You don't get luxury of ignoring penalties and missed lane assignments when field position matters more than ever. Trusting your coverage units and making the return game a positive, not a random event, is non-negotiable. Fourth, offense, start faster. Script the first 10-15 plays to impose your will, not to feel out the defense. If that means more early run sets or quicker timing passes, do it. Give Dak manageable situations early so he can control tempo rather than chase it. Finally, leadership matters. Veterans have to show up, not just vocally, but in execution. Young guys will make mistakes. That's fine if the vets steady the ship and correct. In-game, if leadership falters, teams fold under pressure. Now, let's be realistic about the playoff math. We need help, and we need to win the games in front of us. Hope alone won't cut it. Adjustments, discipline, and execution will. The Vikings are a physical test and a strategic one. And if the Cowboys can't answer the core questions we've laid out, that game could be the end of the line. Before I wrap this all up, tell me in the comments, what single question do you think the Cowboys must answer before the Vikings game? Be specific. I'll read and feature the best replies. If you want to keep this conversation going and help us build the community, subscribe and help us hit 17,000 subscribers. That's how we get more deep, unsparing breakdowns like this one. Smash the like button if you want a follow-up after the Vikings game, where we grade how the team answered these questions.